my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and tonight we have another spoiler-free book review to share with you guys. And tonight we're talking about a collection of 5 short stories that comes out April 15th. They're it's an Amazon original collection, so I'm guessing that means it'll only be available for e-readers. But I saw it on NetGalley, and I had to read it because the 5 stories in this book are from heavy hitters. And I love each and every one of them, and the stories were so good. So good. So, the collection is called the Shiver Collection, or Shivers Collection. You'll see here. I'm recording on my phone, so I can't double check, but these were so good. So, the first story in the collection is called Jackknife. I got my notes here. It's called Jackknife, and it's by Joe Hill. And this is the story about a man who's been recently disgraced. And he's in the process of getting divorced from his wife after a bad behavior was discovered by her and by the university where he works. There was inappropriate text messages exchanged between him and a student. Now, he works at a college, so the student was of age. She was like 20, but still very inappropriate. And his wife has told him to leave the house. She's like, I do not want to see you. Please go. So he goes, he gets an Airbnb. And when he's there, he sees this tree. And in the tree is carved different dates and different names and even like sentences. And he's very intrigued by it. And every day he goes out for a walk and he sees this tree. But as time goes by, he notices something's not right. Like sometimes the tree will be in a different spot. And what kind of set this all off was the first day when he was out walking and he saw the tree. Along with all the things carved into it, there was a jackknife stabbed into the tree. And he takes it. And so it's after that things really start getting a little strange. And that's all I can say about it. And this was my lowest rated in the entire collection. This one was 3 stars. But I enjoyed it. The ending's pretty wild. But yeah, it was my least favorite in the collection. Although I do love Joe Hill. Anyway, the second story in the collection. The second story in the collection is called The Indigo Room, and it is by Stephen Graham Jones. And you know how I feel about Stephen Graham Jones. I love him so much. Anyway, this one takes place in an office. It's about a woman who works in an office, and she's sitting in a meeting. And she has, the lights are down and they're being shown like a slideshow on a projector. And while it's playing, she starts to see really weird things. She sees in the darkness of the room what she thinks is one of her coworkers with no head. And she's like, oh my God. And then after she sees another one of her coworkers, but in this sort of shadow image, he's got no hands. She's like, what is going on? This one I loved because I was filled with dread the entire time I was reading it, waiting for that shoe to drop. And I thought it was really interesting the way that it was done. And I can't say too much without saying too much, but just know that it goes places. And again, short story, it's quick paced. And I thought it was interesting, this setting, this office setting, is different from anything else that I've read from Stephen. And I thought that was really interesting. And, it's got his classic writing style, and I loved it. 5 stars. That one was 5 stars for me. Next up, oh my God. Next up, we have The Blanks by Grady Hendrix. This one was wild. It was wild. And I love Grady Hendrix so much. And I loved this story. So this one, you have a family, and every summer they go to this little island that's nearby where they live, and like all their neighbors go there, and they either rent homes or they own a home. But so like as the story starts going, you're like, okay, it's like this normal family going for a normal summer vacation at their summer home. But then as it ramps up, we learn about these creatures that live on this island called the blanks. And you have to, like, if you see one, no, you didn't. If you see one, you do not look at it. If it crosses into your line of sight, you ignore it. It didn't happen. Because if you look at it, bad things start happening. And one night, one of the children in this family sees one. And while his mom tries really hard to convince him, no, he didn't, that doesn't work once it's too late. And choices have to be made. And boy, were they. 5 stars. Loved it. Loved it. Next up, we had Night and Day in Misery by Catriona Ward. I love Catriona Ward. Last House in Needless Street. Loved it. Little Eve. Loved it. Looking Glass Sound. Loved it. And this story? Loved it. Loved it. This one, while also a little creepy, is at its heart a story of grief, which I love. Grief mixed with horror. There's something about that works for me on like a really deep level, and this was no exception. I loved it. Basically, what we have here is a woman. So 8 years ago, this woman's husband took their 2-year-old son on a road trip. And while on the road trip, there's an accident and they both die. And it's been 8 years. She's been struggling to try to like move on with her life, but she can't. And she has decided that she is going to go to the last place they stopped on this road trip. And then the next day, she's going to join them where they died in this river. Their car went off the road and into a river. And she's like, I'm going there. I'm done with here. And it's this story. You kind of get a bit of a haunted hotel vibe for a bit. But like I say, it's a story of grief, and it's beautiful. It's sad, it's upsetting, and it's beautiful, and I loved it. And 5 stars. And then the final story in this collection is Letter Slot by Owen King, the second Stephen King son in this collection, and I love them both. This one is about a young man, I think his name is Blake, and he's in high school, and his mom is really suffering. She had a bad injury. She fell down a flight of stairs, and ever since, like, her knee's busted. Like, it tore every ligament in her knee this fall. And she's really struggling, and he watches her have to work 2 jobs while really suffering, and it breaks his heart. And one day at school, he's given an assignment. And that assignment turns into him kind of taking this whole thing upon himself, and he writes a letter, because the assignment is to write a letter to a trusted advisor. It could be a parent or a friend or whatever. You're not going to actually send it to them. It's just a way for you to kind of talk about your future. And he ends up putting it through a mysterious mail slot, and he gets a letter back. And that's really all I can say, because I don't want to say too much, but it's kind of a, those like crossroad demon stories where it's like, I'll help you, but you're going to help me in the end. And it was very interesting. And I liked it a lot. This story in particular had some real like Stephen King vibes for me. I love Stephen King short stories, and this one really kind of gave me that same feeling, and I enjoyed it a lot. And this one was 4 stars. 4 stars. So there you go. We got 3 5 stars, a 3 star, and a 4 star. Like, what an insanely good collection. And like I said, heavy hitters. Grady, Steven, Catriona, Joe, Owen, like, oh, what? So good. And again, this comes out April 15th. Amazon Originals. Check it out. Definitely check it out. And thanks to NetGalley for the early copy, because I loved it. And yeah, before I go, I guess I'll let you know we're going to be doing, the Members Only Book Club is going to be doing You Kill Me First by John Mars, and the live show, not live show, we do a live chat, a group chat, and video call, and we talk about it, and that's going to be on April 13th. Not sure the time yet, but join if you want. Come join us. Let's talk about John Mars. And the new episode of my podcast, THC Library, just went up, where I talk about Maeve Fly by CJ Lead. Loved that. I haven't done a book talk for that book yet, just because I haven't had the time. But if you're interested, let me know, and I'll do a full book talk on it. Otherwise, it'll be in the wrap-up for March, and I can talk about it a bit there. But if you want a whole video, let me know, and I will be happy to film that for you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. As always, if you made it this far, leave me a sunshine emoji, because the weather's getting nice here, and I am loving the sun. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye.